Okay, we'll call to order the Finance Committee meeting for Thursday, July 8th. If we'll stand for the prayer and pledge.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Dear Lord, we thank you for this day. Lord, look over the people of Ascension Parish and our extended neighbors all over the Gulf South. Lord, we have a special intention tonight. We want to let your prayers go out to the Musso family for their loss this last week. Lord, we ask you to look over all the soldiers, those that are down in Haiti, trying to rebuild that country. We have a lot of our local guys down there from the 769th Engineering Battalion. We ask you to look over the soldiers that are actually in the fighting wars across the water. We ask this in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll move ahead. Roll call. We are missing Councilman Oliver Joseph and Councilman Adrian Thompson. I believe all others are present. Chair's additions. I do have two additions. I'm sorry, Councilman Dempsey Lambert as well. And now Councilman Joseph is present. It's a fluid roll call. Chair's additions. I have two items I'd like to add and ask the committee for a vote on to put on the agenda. The first is a certificate of substantial completion for the Oak Grove Park. Motion by Councilman Pat Bell, second by Councilman Dennis Cullen. I'll need a roll call on that. Cinnamon?
Councilman Bowden.
Yes.
Councilman Sexton.
Yes.
Councilman Bell.
Yes.
Councilman Kula.
Yes.
Councilman Valentine.
Yes.
Councilman Lambert.
Yes.
Councilman Cullen.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Okay, we will add that as agenda item 11A. And the second item is regarding the concrete the parking lot for Oak Grove Park. I'd like to add that. Okay, Councilman Pat Bell's motion, second by Councilman Benny Johnson, and I need a roll call for that as well.
Councilman Joseph.
Yes.
Councilman Sexton.
Yes.
Councilman Bell.
Yes.
Councilman Kula.
Yes.
Councilman Valentine.
Yes.
Councilman Lambert.
Yes.
Councilman Cullen.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Okay, we'll make that item 11B. And we will also be scratching item number 8 from the agenda as well. Public comment period reminder. If you wish to speak on any item, please sign a comment card, and you'll have 3 minutes. And we'll start right into our finance report section. Number 5, our Ascension Economic Development Report for the month. Mr. Berthelot, Mr. Eads.
Good evening, Chairman Lower, members of the Finance Committee. Thank you all again for the opportunity to come before you. Want to mention through a concerted team effort with Ascension Parish government, City of Gonzales, and the State Fire Marshal, we broke ground this week on a new proposed Marriott extended stay. Something we're in dire need of, additional rooms in the parish, and this with Harry's Holiday Inn right next to Tanger will give us a couple of hundred new rooms, and we're working presently on the third new hotel, also in the vicinity of Cabela's. It's a national chain, one of two, and they're negotiating, so we're not at liberty to say what it will be, but it will be a good national chain also, it looks like. So I wanted to bring you up to that because that really, when people spend a night here, as many of you know, it sure encourages them to spend their money locally. Helps with the hotel motel tax, helps with the school board, helps with all the local taxes also. So we are excited about the additional rooms. I told the owner that he's a little late. This year I think he would have filled them up with the World Series coming up and also the Festival of Festivals coming up. So we're going to miss out on those opportunities, but there'll be many, many more to come. Our report will be brief tonight, and I'll turn it over to Mike, our President and CEO, at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Johnny. Gentlemen, just quickly, you've received the project activity report, I think, previously. We're still running 20 active projects, which has been stable over about the last 3 or 4 months. I want to focus again on those 8 that we list as A projects. And as I reported last month, there are 2 of those that have options, one on a piece of land and one on a building, and that continues to be the case. And hopefully those are going to come to fruition here in the near future, and we'll be able to bring you some good news and some new jobs. I reported last month also about IMTT, you may recall, International Matex Tank Terminals, having gone to, actually, I think I said the bond commission actually went to the Louisiana Public Finance Authority and got an allocation for GO-Zone bonds. I went to New Orleans last week and visited with them at their corporate headquarters. Still not able at this time to peg for us exactly how much money they're going to spend in Geismar as opposed to Gretna and St. Rose and number of jobs, but they should be able to do that in a couple of months. They're definitely going to be expanding. It's just they're trying to figure out how much and exactly where it's going to be. So that's good news. I passed out an article, a brief article about Westlake Vinyl, who also received a pre-authorization for $100 million in GO-Zone bonds. Again, there's 2 projects involved in that, and we're not able at this time to discern how much of that's going to be spent in Ascension Parish, but we'll be working on that and getting back to you about that. Thirdly, passed out a copy for those of you who hadn't received one of the Baton Rouge Business Report real estate issue, in which there's a tab in there, a section about Ascension Parish. What we attempted to do with that was, if you look at that and then look at the other parishes, is just try to stand out in the crowd, so to speak. And I think we say loud and clear in there that if you're going to come to the Baton Rouge market, Ascension Parish is where you want to be. We got the people, we got the population growth, we got the labor force growth, we got the median household income, et cetera, et cetera. In addition to that audience, we had a bonus distribution in that to 300 site selection consultants. So we're happy about that. And we also, as part of the deal, we now own that artwork, and we'll be using that to make our own some marketing brochures, so that'll save us quite a bit of money. Lastly, I've reported before, we continue to work with our friends in Donaldsonville on the certification of Donaldsonville Industrial Park. We have received a verbal from Louisiana Economic Development that has been approved. We're waiting on the actual formal letter, but that's good news. We'll be sending out a press release as soon as we get that letter, and that will be the first one under the state's new program. We're very proud of that. We'll be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions?
I just got a brief
Councilman Clore.
statement. I want to thank you guys for what you're doing, and just while we're on the air, and I know you guys out there working with small businesses and stuff, and everybody, not just the large businesses, that the resources that you have within your organization for anybody that wants to come to the parish, anybody in the parish that wants to develop their business a little bit more, that y'all have the logistic makeup and the computer systems to track. If somebody's looking for a particular type piece of land, they're looking for anything. They're looking for commercial properties. They're looking for developed properties or undeveloped properties. And that we steer people toward you guys to try to, whereas people don't, they have a good resource there to look around and try to develop their business larger in the parish, not try to move out, not try to, just get on some website and look. So we appreciate y'all. Keep putting that word out.
Thank you, sir.
Well, Randy, I want to back up those comments to let you know that we continue to work on a new website. But anytime, no matter how big the property is, we always add it to our inventory. When people get us information, we add it. We're not in the real estate business. All we try to do is put people together who's looking for property and who has property. And, it's been a good win-win for everybody, and we appreciate those comments. But anytime anybody talks to you about having any property that they would like to put on our website, just come and contact our office, and we'd be glad to do that.
Yeah, I just think it's important that the general public know and that the business community for sure knows that.
And just to also let y'all know, we continue to do our retention visits. We visit, and that's in reference to smaller businesses. We don't just call them plants. We call them businesses up and down Airline Highway, both sides of the river. And we're going to continue to do that because I think we told you once before, 80% of the new jobs are going to come from existing businesses. So we got to make sure we keep them here. So, thank y'all.
Thank you. Item number 6, our sales and use tax report for the month. Ms. Gwen LeBlanc.
Good evening, gentlemen. You have before you your monthly sales tax report. As usual, it lists our 3 sales tax districts and the comparison for June collections, which represents May sales, year-to-date and month-to-date. And that's in the middle column. You can see that it's basically the same as last month. It's a break-even year-to-date growth, or just a little bit above or less than 1%. And then if you look at the budget comparison for the 2010 budget versus the collections at 6 months of the year, 50% of the year, you can still see that we're still ahead of our budget projections. On another issue, I did speak to Dr. Richardson today. He's under contract with us for Revenue Estimating Committee, and his next presentation to the council, we decided, will be the September finance meeting. And then the rest of the charts that are behind it, you're pretty familiar with now. You can see the growth, and of course it represents, the second page represents, as usual, just the 1% sales tax, as does the pie chart, which gives you a depiction of where your sales taxes are being collected, what sector in the parish. And then the last page is this historical chart of the 3 sales tax districts. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Any questions? Parish President?
It seems like we've pretty much leveled off on our sales tax collections, and seems to have budgeted just about right in most categories. And as you can look, consumer retail is down a little bit, and motor vehicles are down a little bit, and business to business is still down. But the petrochemical industry is growing, and we're still getting some, like today with a couple of announcements, that's going to really help us. And we also had a fertilizer plant that's going to move out here. Also, Scott, I've been in contact with them, so it's going to be a $5 million investment. So, if we can continue doing this, we'll be okay for the year.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, thanks. We'll move on to item number 7, our revenue and expenditure report for the month. Ms. Amanda, sorry.
Good evening. This is a financial report as of the month of May 2010, which is at 41.67% of the year. The total revenues are at 30.58%, and your total expenditures are at 27.63% at this point of the year. And on page 4 and 5 is an explanation of the items that are highlighted in green, that are 5% under the budget for revenues, or 5% over the budget for expenditures at this time. We're monitoring these funds, and we will prepare any necessary budget amendments if necessary to correct anything, but at this point they're all in line with the explanations. On the last page is a list of all checks issued for the month of May, over 100,000. The total of these checks are $839,700. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer at this time.
Questions? No? Okay, we'll move on then. Item number 9, the contracts report. Kim Freely.
Good evening, Councilman. Before you, you have the monthly contracts report for the month of June 2010. If you want to take a look at that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
any questions for Kim?
Yeah, I got a quick question.
Councilman Kluwat?
And Parish President may want to chime in. It's the second one, the LADOTD, on the maintenance agreement for the mowing and litter pickup. How we still standing on that, Tommy? The grass is growing by the minute, and
Well, here's the situation. We certainly,
I know
and
the
we've
shape
discussed this
DOTD's
before.
in, so that's why I'm asking.
You know, we've discussed it with DOTD and asked for an increase, and of course, right now they're going through hard times also. Problem is that we're not making any money on this. We're certainly losing money by keeping up with the state roads. But if we don't do it, I can assure you it won't get done. They have, 2 tractors for this entire district, so you might get it done once a year, and you may get it sprayed once a year. Last year, we were able to get them to at least go and spray to give us a little break, to at least spray one time at their cost. So basically what we do is we cut and spray 4 times a year and pick up the litter, make sure that the litter's picked up. That's the way our contract is.
I just want to kind of highlight that to everybody to know that basically this service is something that we contracted with the state, because if, just what you said, that if we didn't do it, it wouldn't get done.
It would not get done, and people don't. I can assure you, people won't distinguish between a parish road and a state road. They're going to call you, the councilman,
That's right.
and anybody that's been on this council long enough can attest to that fact. But it's something that's needed safety-wise, and for our citizens, and certainly to make sure that the image here is, not just a parish that allows its grass to continue growing on the road. So I just think it's a service that we provide. It's a service that we lose money on, but it's a vital service to the constituents in our parish.
And that's the only thing I wanted to highlight, is that we are delivering a service, and I know the DOTD's budget, and they don't have the money.
Okay. Anyone else? Thank you.
Thanks.
We'll move on to our reports, our Lamar Dixon report. I'm sorry, Mr. John Vogt.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. As of the end of May, our revenues were $720,106, which is 56% of our budgeted revenues. Our expenses, and this is discounting the capital outlay, excuse me, were $863,849, which leaves us about a $144,000 deficit right now. Now that will be tremendously impacted, one, by the $315,000 lease that we've just enacted with BP, and some other business we're hoping to also continue with them, as well as efforts to cut costs and increase bookings immediately. Any questions? If not, thank you very much.
Okay. Mr. President?
I want to comment. I did send you all out a notice about the lease, and I did meet with British Petroleum today. They are interested, very interested, in leasing some more property on the facility. So we will keep you informed as to where that's going. But they were very, very excited about it, and hopefully that works out. And in the last session, also $250,000, the hotel motel taxes, the state hotel motel tax rebate. $250,000 of that money is also dedicated to the operations of Lamar Dixon. So we're going to should be in pretty good shape at the end of this year with this, and have some surplus.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions? Lamar Dixon?
Just one question.
Councilman Lambert?
Mr. President, as far as leasing this particular piece of property, it won't dampen any projects or any events that's coming to Lamar Dixon, right?
Right now they are looking at the 4-H building and 2 of the barns on the backside, which until next February we probably won't use the 4-H building. We don't utilize it right now except during the LSU Livestock Show, and a couple other things. That's one of the buildings that we want to harden so we can utilize it for other events, and that's some of the money that we're getting from LRA, about $4.5 million to harden that building.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to agenda item number 11, change order for Oak Grove Park. Mr. Barney Gotro and Mr. Brian Goes.
This change order is with Holly Construction, Oak Grove Spray Park. What happened on this is the playground equipment we had bought last year, and it came in and had it on the yard. We sent it out for bid, and we were going to install it our own self, and they wanted $8,000 to $10,000 to install it, and I just thought that was too much. Well, it really wasn't that much whenever you start trying to put together, and you got to take it back down. And Holly Construction was on site, and they agreed to pay for it. I think it's like $6,500. I mean, not pay for it, but to put it up for us for $6,500. And the last playground that we did order, we did have it installed, for safety fixtures also, because we do some things sometimes that is try to take shortcuts and not the way it works. But they came out and took some of the stuff down that we had volunteers out helping us put it together and straightened it out for us. The next one is the hooking the water from the meter to the pumps and everything else to the spray park. That was something we hadn't figured in, but rather than bring a plumber, they done it for us. And the last one is the trees and stuff we planted out there. We have, I don't know how many trees we got planted out there, but we have some shade whenever it all comes up. And we have like 300 plants that are also being planted out there.
Motion by Councilman Bell.
Second.
Second by Councilman Cullen. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion passes. We'll move on to item 11A, which is a certificate of substantial completion.
Okay. That's the letter that y'all got. We got that this morning from the architect. He's here. If you have any questions with him and everything else, but the rain has helped us up a good bit and all, but all they're waiting on now is to put the field in where around the playground area and a few other little things and all, but the field is right there.
So basically, a couple days of dry weather, and we'll be in business.
So moved.
Councilman Ken Shakespeare, second by Councilman Randy Kluwat, to accept the substantial completion letter. Any objection? Motion passes. Item number 11B regarding the concrete parking lot. I did want to. I provided everyone with the layout of the parking lot. Obviously, this is not something that was in the contract, but it was something we were actively, when we were seeking donations, seeing what we could do. And happy to say that Ascension Ready Mix is donating all the concrete for the concrete parking lot, which is a pretty significant donation there. So all we'll be responsible for is the labor to form it up and finish it and all of that. And we still have some donation money left over in the donation account. Plus, Walmart is our local Prairieville Walmart is organizing a softball tournament for August. Of all the Walmart district stores, they usually raise about $10,000 to $15,000 every year from that, and all the proceeds will be going for the park. So that could help offset if there's any labor cost associated with this parking lot. So I'll let everybody know if you want to join me on the softball team. I think that'd be kind of fun. But anyway. Yeah, right.
A lot of coaches.
Do you need a good catcher?
Yeah, right. Anyway, so I just wanted to bring that up and move forward. If we could, I guess, have a motion to move forward with the
Chairman,
concrete parking lot.
could we get a motion for us to go ahead and proceed with it?
Can we get a motion to go ahead and proceed with the
Second.
motion by Councilman Bell, second by Councilman Shakespeare? Okay.
And add a thank you to Ascension.
And absolutely, we all owe a big thank you to Ascension Ready Mix, and I know the parish president has helped out with that as well. Yes, sir.
I'm going to ask Gwen to maybe clarify on that Lamar Dixon report a little bit more about the encumbrances.
Let me just get this passed here. Any further discussion, any objection before I forget? Okay, thank you. Go back.
I want to go back to that and clarify that to make sure that I think John didn't understand the encumbrances.
Yeah. You have before you the Lamar Dixon report. If you look at the second to last column, the revenues received and other financing sources, which is transfers, $930,000. Expenditures to date is $870,826, so that leaves the operating surplus or deficit. It's a surplus of $59,000. The $144 is encumbrances that is subtracted from the actual to get the balance. So it's a positive $59,280,000, which leaves a projected ending fund balance at this point in time of $152,242. So it has a positive operating balance right now and also a positive fund balance.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I'd like to take this opportunity, I know it's not in line, but to introduce, since we're talking about Lamar Dixon and grants and stuff, Ms. Beth James, who's joined our team. Beth, she'll be assisting us on the $60 million worth of grants and assisting Martha on those grants at this point. So you want to introduce?
It's an honor to be here, Councilman. My name is Beth James, and my title is Executive Assistant to the Parish President. And I'm just thrilled I've met most of you already, and happy to be here and look forward to working with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome aboard. All right, we will move on to agenda item number 12, a resolution ordering and calling a special election to be held in Ascension Parish, State of Louisiana on November 2nd, 2010, for the purpose of authorizing the levy of a 10-year 6.8 mil property tax in lieu of the existing 10-year 4.2 mil property tax and the 10-year 2.6 mil property tax for maintaining and supporting the Ascension Parish Library and its branches commencing January 1st, 2011, making application to the Louisiana State Bond Commission, and providing for other matters in connection therewith. Angel, I believe you have.
Hello. Thank you all. We have a little brief presentation for you all, just to give you some information on the library. As you can see from the first slide, we are celebrating our 50th anniversary this year. The library began in 1960 in 2 storefront facilities, and since then has grown to 4 parish-owned facilities. So the next slide shows the annual library visits that we've experienced. It's from 1993 to 2009. We've had about a 121% increase in usage of the facility over that time period. And at this time, this does not include the Dutchtown location. The Dutchtown location is having a phenomenal response at this time. And that equates to 6,214 people a week that we see in the library. So the next slide shows the circulation trend. We've, from 1990 to 2009, we've had an increase of 165% in the circulation of library materials. This is books, magazines, audio materials, video materials, that type of thing. And again, this does not include the Dutchtown location in the statistics. The next slide shows statistical information from 2009. Currently, we have 30,982 registered library users. 23,943 are adult cards, and then 7,039 are juvenile cards. A juvenile card is anyone under the 14 years old or younger. Last year, we had 957 library programs with 40,657 people attending those programs. The next slide shows the current per capita local operating revenue for population served. As you can see, Ascension is the yellow bar, and we are all but one of the library systems has between 3 to 130% more in per capita funding than Ascension Parish Library. These numbers are 2008 numbers. That was the latest that was available. I checked the state site yesterday. The 2009 numbers are not up yet. So the next slide just gives you a basic library funding timeline. In the year 2000, the library asked for 6.8 mills to be placed on the ballot for the operation and maintenance of the existing facilities. Instead, we did have it split into two, 4.2 and 2.6. In 2004, the library asked the council to place 1.2 mills in a bond issue on the ballot. That request was denied. In 2005, we did see a significant increase in funding, which would allow us to do part of our building program. We came back to the council in 2005, asked them to bond $9.5 million. That was all the library could afford to pay for. And the council was very gracious and agreed to do that, and the library entered into an intergovernmental agreement with the parish government at that time to pay the note. So it is a parish bond, but the library pays the bond note for the parish. The next slide shows the breakdown of the millages that we currently have for operation and maintenance. The 4.2 mills basically pays for the operation and maintenance of Gonzales and Donaldsonville, for the intergovernmental agreement, and for system-wide operations that are necessary for those two facilities. The 2.6 mills pays for Dutchtown and Galvez's branch operations and the system-wide cost for running those facilities. At this time, with the next slide, the library is requesting that the two existing maintenance and operation millages of 4.2 and 2.6 be combined and placed on the ballot for 6.8 mills. This is not an increase, this is a renewal of existing funds. And we have one more request, that the title of the proposition be changed to library millage proposition, just to make it easier to be identified when on the ballot. At this time, I'll gladly answer any questions you all may have about the library, running of the library, funding, budgeting.
Councilman Kluwat.
Yes, Mr. Dustin, can you give us some representative numbers of the 4.2, the generation of dollars at the 4.2 and the 2.6?
The 4.2
And that
mills.
it is a parish-wide tax.
Yes, sir. Both are parish-wide
Rural
taxes.
tax or parish-wide tax?
Yes, they're parish-wide taxes. The 4.2 mills generates approximately $3.6 million, and the 2.6 mills generates approximately $2 million.
Approximately 2 million?
Yes.
What is your debt service right now on your, I know you have the expansion and the new, based on your operating budget?
The debt service for the bond
Yeah.
is a straight $650,000 a year. It's approximately, I think, came out to be about 11% of the budget.
Mhm.
So, and everything else is operation and maintenance for the running and maintaining of the facilities, the grounds, the property, the buildings,
Sure.
everything comes out of that.
All right, so out of the 5.6 million, you have 650,000 for debt service, everything else operation
Everything else is operation and maintenance.
and maintenance.
Yes, sir.
So basically, it takes about 5 million a year to run the libraries?
Approximately, that's correct. It takes approximately, on average, a branch cost approximately $1 million to run. Now, of course, that varies. The Gonzales location being larger does require more funding. I think it requires probably about $2 million. But I did go back and check our smallest facility, and it does cost $1 million to run the Galvez branch. When you add in insurance, the electric bill, the water bill, the gas bill, the benefits to the staff and the cost of personnel expenditures, as well as the collection and the additions to the facility each year.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Councilman Bill.
Ms. Andrew, help me understand on this $40.91. That's per person per year?
Per person, per year, per capita. That's how much it costs. That's how much the tax generates per person.
I have a hard time with this. We spend $13 per person per year for recreation for people in this parish, but we don't have a tax either. But that comes out of our general fund, roads, everything else. So just want to make sure $27 more for the library?
Yes, sir, and this parish is paying a lot less than the surrounding parishes are paying.
Okay, thanks.
East Baton Rouge, I think, is $71. I think St. Charles is $87.
Angel, talk to me about the fund balance.
Yes, sir.
What is the current fund balance that you show?
Current fund balance as of July, or as of June, is $6.8 million. That's our current fund balance.
In terms of operating and capital?
That's operating and maintenance. That is our revenue that remained from last year, as well as this year's tax revenue.
Because I guess, in reviewing the audit for 2009, since the parish. We at the end of 2009, there was a $15 million fund balance. $10 million of which was general fund, $5 million of which was capital projects.
Yes.
And so, I found that
Current capital
kind of surprising.
projects fund balance is $2.9 million.
And that's going towards the Gonzales renovation?
Yes, sir.
Correct.
By the end of this year, that money will be depleted, and approximately $1.2 million from general fund has been set aside specifically to augment the building program. So we have the funds for the construction of the facility. The $1.2 million will be used for additional furniture and equipment needs. Now, we did end up with $1.8 million at the end of last year due to the fact that the Dutchtown branch and the Gonzales branch are running behind on construction. Dutchtown did not open in 2009. It opened in 2010.
But you're speaking of cash on hand only. At the end of last year, the auditors said you had $10 million in general fund. $5 million in capital projects for a total of $15 million. So I think you guys, looking at your budget, you guys use cash on hand accounting.
Absolutely.
Which doesn't take into account the ad valorem taxes that are coming in because you haven't collected those yet. But I think it's safe to say property taxes are going to get paid. I mean, that you operate on those. That's why we're here tonight, to talk about the millages. So I think that's a little misleading in that the truth was at the end of 2009 we had $15 million cash on hand. So, but that got me thinking.
$5 million is dedicated towards capital projects.
$5 million is dedicated
we cannot
to capital.
utilize
Sure.
in any other way, shape, or
Sure.
form.
Okay, so we'll just operate on the $10 million that you had at the end of last year. But it's bigger than that, I guess, in the way I'm looking at it. Just from a philosophical standpoint, I mean, we are right now funding libraries almost at the same amount as roads in this parish. And that, to me, raises some red flags and brings about some questions. I feel like all over this country, industry, businesses, government, everyone's having to tighten their belts and try to do more with less. And when you look at something like this, where you have 2 millages, which I personally think made sense 10 years ago, the amount of money that this brought in was perfect, and for a long time in that 10 years. That was adequate, and the library system has done a great job. I'm not anti-library by any means. I think they've done a fine job. My problem is I feel like we are constantly asked, why aren't you doing more with roads? You know, why can't you? We have major infrastructure problems. That's no secret. We go show the property tax chart, you know, the pie chart to people, and the parish government getting 2%. We say we look at what we're funding for roads out of the sales tax, 5.1 million for road and bridge. We're talking about 5.6 comes in right now off of this library millage. Our road construction fund, 2.9 million is what we have in the budget for 2010. I mean, 2.9 million dollars. That's not a lot of money. So, you know, if we talk about what is going on around the country in terms of people trying to make tough decisions and really decide, you know, what their priorities are, I don't think anyone would say, if it comes down to it, you know, do you want to build a library or build a road? I mean, that's a no-brainer to me. I'm not trying to cripple the library here, but I mean, the 4.2 mils is frankly, in my opinion, enough to operate on. And that is, you know, sure, there would be some belt tightening, and they would have to dip into the fund balance for a couple of years until 2012 when there's a reassessment year. And then actually they'd probably be right back where they were. So why not take a look at doing something like putting the 4.2 on the ballot, taking the 2.6 and dedicating it exclusively to road construction, dedicated for that. That would move us from 2.9 million a year to 5 million a year. We could do some serious damage on the number one thing facing this parish. We would not raise taxes. We're reallocating. That's every time we go ask the people, why can't you, when we show them the property taxes and the sales tax, why can't you just reallocate it? Well, it's times like this where this is the opportunity you have to do it. And you know, I'm not picking on the library, but numbers, the data is the data, and you know, we just need to ask ourselves, and the parish needs to ask itself a philosophical question about how they want to spend their money and what their priorities are. So that's my comments. I'd like to see us take a hard look at that, and I mean, I think that could really deliver for the people on the number one issue facing this parish.
Could the thing here is that we're adding square footage to the facilities. We're not at standards with our facilities, and I understand the roads and bridges issues. But we're adding facilities, we're adding services, and yet you're wanting to cut what our constituents have said they want. Frankly, no one, to my knowledge, has ever asked me, as a taxpayer, do you want to pay more? I've never seen that on the ballot. To dedicate to roads and bridges. Ask me. We ask the public what they want as far as library services go. And they tell us what they want by how they vote.
Sure, but in my mind, the public there's a certain ceiling, and there's only as far as the amount of taxation that they're willing to endure. And I think if you look all over this country, and certainly in this state as well, there's only so much taxes that people are willing to pay. And all I'm trying to do is just ask some philosophical questions here. If we can get by, as with our current the 4.2 millage.
We're going to lose
and if
hours.
we can get by, what is appropriate? It's just a philosophical discussion here. I think as a council, it's our job to look at these kind of things and to really make it's our job we're the ones who are elected representatives of the people. We are the ones who are over the parish finances. We're the ones who really should listen to the people about what the number one issue is and try to do something about it. That's all. Councilman Kluwat.
Yeah, just basically addressing the board right now. We got the library in front of us, and people do want roads and all, and I'm all for that. I'm not taking up for the library or against you. All right, I'm just saying right now one of the questions continually asked is several public entities that what's the fund balance? We know what your taxation brings in. What you got in the bank? And tonight it's the library. There's been some talk within the past couple of years. We have some lighting districts that are very much have a great fund balance, while we have others that are crippled. But I mean, we do have some lighting districts that, as You know, we want to take a look at where some of the fund balance is before we only have a little bit of tax left to go back to the people and try to get out of them, in all honesty, and I'm one of the people, you know, and, you know, what are our plans for the future, you know? And for the roads, that we have several entities that are public entities that are receiving taxes based on millage, that have a pretty substantial fund balance that's not necessarily dedicated to a project. And so, you know, is this just a starting point? And I personally have had people ask me about rolling back millages and things like that, you know, especially when we come to the homeowners and the business owners. So I said, this came up tonight. This won't be the last thing that comes up. Before you go back to ask people to pay more taxes, you do have to take a look and see whether you're actually spending their taxes to their best benefit and who can afford to give a little bit. And I'm not advocating it be the library. I'm just saying that this is the issue that's behind the scene, right?
Councilman Lambert?
Yeah, like Randy said, we are talking about the library today, not the roads. And roll back taxes, yeah, but we're not rolling back taxes with Mr. Lower's proposal. We're actually keeping the same amount there. I don't know, a year ago when we was discussing Lamar Dixon, since we're bringing up roads, we wanted to bring up 1/8 of a cent of a sales tax to the public to support Lamar Dixon. Well, guess what? Y'all failed to bring that to the ballot because we have a 1/2 cent sales tax left that we can use without going back to the legislature to get more. That was talk that we're going to bring that and put that on the ballot this year for transportation, but I haven't heard anything about it. That 1/2 cent sales tax. I don't think we need to attack, like I said, there's a bunch of millages that if we're going to start attacking one, we're going to have to look at a bunch of them before it's pulling back. And bottom line is the people's choice. The people voted for this, not this bunch right here. The people of the parish, the citizens of the parish voted for this library. And that you can see that they are using it heavily. And
Absolutely.
That's all I have to say about that.
Well, yeah, I guess so. I certainly agree with what everyone's saying as far as, yeah, this is just because the library's here tonight renewing its millage. We're going to do this, and I think we should. We have responsibility to look at every one of these as they come before us. So, you know, and in this particular instance, in analyzing the numbers, I found it to me that this was an instance where they have some substantial revenue, not only on fund balance, but coming in. So do we really want to go ask the voters for a 1/2 cent sales tax in this economy and everything else? Maybe so, maybe not. But are we not? Should we not at least look at doing more with what we have? I think we have to. I think why should we not make the tough choices and consider these things? You know, why not? That's what we should do here, and that's why I floated that idea.
And I agree with you. One of them, you know, I commend the library board for having the balance they have.
Absolutely.
That's their
Absolutely.
expertise that put it, you know, in a good position, and you know we can't blame them for sure because they've been conservative and now they're really expanding, or spending some capital money and.
We spent 10 years saving the money so we could do
That's
what
correct.
we wanted
This
to
is
do
not just
for the
overnight, hey, I
public.
got $10 million here all of a sudden. It's not that way. You know, they've been conservatively
And
putting
the-
that money aside for these projects, and they got a lot to, you know, assets on the books to show for it.
I guess they constantly hear about how could we reallocate millages and how could we look at that? And so this is one of those situations, I think. So do we look at, instead of what I said, doing the 4.2, the 2.6, do you look at just adding the 2.6 on specific for millages, for millage for roads, road construction, and let people choose? I mean, that's an option too.
One question, the people, if you can bring it to them as a new tax, as a millage, you're probably not going to get it because the property taxes are high enough as they are. But if you go as a new millage, they're liable to shut it down. You probably lose your 2.6.
So let's make the hard choice.
You go
then.
with the 1/2 cent sales, and what everybody pays for it.
Okay. That's true.
That's what happened
So-
with Lamar Dixon.
So maybe it's on us,
unfortunately,
maybe it's on us
you're
then to make
crippling
that
the
hard choice.
library in the process. I mean, we see over 300,000 visits a year, and you're telling those individuals that what they have agreed to and voted for in the past is no longer going to be considered.
Councilman Klua.
And when
Yeah.
we cut back on hours and when we have to shut a branch down, they're going to be extremely unhappy.
Ma'am, you just in the middle right now, so I apologize personally anyway. That basically what's underlying undercurrents is people, we hate to tax people anymore, anywhere, on anything, all right? We know that we got to reach out. One thing we have to do is we have to have sustainable emergency services throughout the parish, the fire, police, and everything else. So we want to, but there's two discussions basically going on here. Is somebody's talking about rolling back, which is basically get rid of a part of a tax, and there's another. I think what Chris is referring to is, in a way, is reallocation. To reallocate. I would just hope that every public entity that has a good fund balance, and bless y'all hearts, thank y'all for being frugal, but every public entity that does have a good fund balance, please do your due diligence as a public agency and try to take care of yourself some so that we can try to get a little bit more for the parish in other ways for roads and for infrastructure improvements. Infrastructure is our number one killer, and that's what Chris is referring to. We're behind the gun, 20 years behind on infrastructure around here. And
But that's not the library's fault.
no, ma'am, no, ma'am.
Why should we pay for it when for 50 years we have done exactly what we're supposed to do?
Miss Angel.
We have always lived within our budget. We have saved the money to do what we
I
need
agree
to
with
do.
you, and
And now you're going to cut us off at the knees.
No, I'm not cutting you off.
Because you don't want to go ask the public
no,
for what
ma'am.
you need to ask them
Angel,
for.
I'm not cutting you off at the knees. I apologize you a little bit earlier that you were caught in the middle of a conversation. I'm just explaining where we're at
Well,
here.
unfortunately,
and it's kind of getting
I'm
off
the one
subject.
standing here right
Yeah,
now.
oh, I understand.
So I'm looking at what it's going to cost the library system
Yeah.
and the constituents of this parish who voted for this tax 10 years ago.
That's right.
They told you what they wanted, and you're telling them it doesn't matter what they want.
No, ma'am. I've never advocated taking your tax away. Okay? Matter of fact, I just met with you about 2 weeks ago. Okay? What I just wanted, I want to know from the financial point of view, either from the parish or from you, the significance of combining the tax. Is there some significance that I'm missing?
The tax, we asked that the tax be combined and put on the ballot as 6.8. That's what the library has always done. When an increase is required, we ask for it to be put on the ballot as such. Now, we were denied that. We were told no. I can only speculate as to why, and I don't think it would be appropriate at this point in time for me to voice my speculations.
Yeah.
However, what they wanted to occur did not occur. The taxpayers voted 89% for the 4.2, which was the renewal, and 75% voted for the 2.6 to increase library services in the parish. It's what they wanted.
Okay. I was just wondering what the significance is of combining it. If there's some financial significance, or does that increase the longevity? Does it lock the 4.2 to 6 point and the 2.6? You know.
One comment before I recognize Councilman Shakespeare. They did vote for it 10 years ago. The Ascension 10 years ago is very different than Ascension Parish today. I don't think anybody could foresee the infrastructure needs, or for that matter, the amount of growth that came with that, as well as the amount of revenue that would come with that for this millage.
But you just said it's been needed for 20
Councilman
years.
Shakespeare.
Okay. Thank you very much, Chairman. Thank you, Angel, for your presentation. I'm coming from the public school system, and I'm very much an advocate of the parish libraries. I've been on programs for them. Y'all do a very good job. We appreciate it. I think this discussion all stems from your success in what you do. You do a great job managing your money, making a good presentation for the parish with what I consider very limited funds. And if you look at the chart down here compared to the adjoining parishes, we're at one of the bottoms is receiving monies per capita for libraries. That being said, if you took other entities, we're way on the bottom of receiving money. When you get to recreation and fire services and on and on and on, we are not adequately funded. The roads and bridges and sewer and water, everything that other municipalities have, we are not adequately funded. That being said, people are not willing to accept increases unless you do a good job of telling them what you want it for and how you're going to do it, and they have confidence that you're going to do it. You've been very successful in that, and that's why it's 85% that people know that what they're going to do with the money. I think if the parish does a good job of presenting a complete plan on recreation and tell them exactly what they get and how it's going to be managed, and they have confidence in us, we would get monies for recreation, and we could take that money that comes out of general fund and use it for roads. I think we can do the same thing with the fire department, with getting adequately funded for our fire stations that are not adequately funded right now. But we have to put out a plan, and it hadn't been there. You guys have come to us with a plan. You know exactly what's going on. Everybody knows what's going on, how much is going to be spent, and what it's going to be for, and they'll see it. It's out there today, and so people support it. I think it's a model for what we need to do if you want to get money to run your programs. So I think if we want a better recreation program, we need to put out a plan, put it to the people in the public, and if they want to support it, if they have confidence in it, they're going to support it. And I'm not advocating any taxes, but if they want to support it at a higher amount, they will. People in the parish are not against paying monies for things that they're going to be receiving. They have not received, I've been here for 6 years, they've not received the comprehensive road program infrastructure to vote up and down in this parish. It's something that if the people want it and they want better roads, they're going to have to pay for it. I think that's something that we need to do our due diligence. The administration needs to do due diligence. If we want to provide more services, we need to put a good comprehensive plan up there, put it before the people, and if they want it, they'll pay for it. If not, we're not. We're going to make do with what we have. And right now, I think the administration and this council does a great job of making do with what we have. And that being said, I think Chris, Councilman Lohr, opened up a good discussion that needed to be done and needed to be talked about. I agree with Councilman Lambert. We need to take a look at our lighting districts for some of it. We need to sit down and take a look at libraries and see if there's some leeway. I don't know if there is or not, but somebody needs to sit down and do that and take a look and see where we want to go. I support you. I think the people have supported you wholeheartedly. And unless something else comes up where you show that that you can operate very well like you have been with less millages, I think we ought to continue like we are and go from there. So we have some serious problems in this parish that we are not paying for right now. We get calls every day for litter. We have nothing in our budget, so to speak, for litter. I mean, we really do not have a litter program in here. We've got a litter program. We've got a crew that goes around doing signs, and we try to pick up. We try to work with the sheriff's office, but we really don't have an adequate litter budget that the people want, And so, those are the type of things that we need to take a look at. And I think it's something that if somebody supplies a good plan and give it to the people, if that's something they like and they believe in, they'll vote for it. If not, we make do with what we have. I believe in making do with what we have. So,
Councilman Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Angel, thanks to you and the library board for the job that y'all have done. And again, sorry that you're kind of at the first part of getting into this, because it's opened a can of a discussion that has needed to happen for a long time as far as the taxes that we around here. Question I have, and I have serious concerns about combining the two millages for a reason that hopefully we won't face. But if something were to happen where one or the other would not get renewed, let's say the 2.6 for whatever reason wouldn't get renewed, how would that affect your budget? As opposed to if it was all lumped together for some reason it wouldn't pass. You'd be way out in the cold with that. But if you lost one or the other, what kind of shape would you be in financially?
Well, first off, the library, again, has been here 50 years. A library tax in this parish has never failed.
Correct.
Also, the tax 10 years ago when it was split was the first time it's ever been split. That is not traditional for the library. However, if we lose 2.6 mills, it's going to basically shut down Dutchtown. First one up is the last one down. We'll shut down. The electric bill's not going away. The gas bill's not going away. The library pays to maintain everything. Everything. None of this comes out of the parish's general budget at all. And I think sometimes people don't realize that. We pay the insurance on the facilities. We pay to maintain them. We pay for the grounds. We keep maintenance, upkeep, everything. And literally, if we lose 2.6, is just as bad as losing the 6.8, because either way, it cripples the library system.
As far as the bond indebtedness, though, could you still make those payments with that less money?
We'd have to. That was the intergovernmental agreement that we made for the parish, with the parish. That was the agreement we made. Because at the time, the funding was such that we could afford $650,000, no more. That's why half of the building program was eliminated. The library has already made a lot of decreases and sacrifices. Now, you don't notice that because we do such a good job with the money we have. And we make a point of making that money last. We have saved money knowing that the bond money was going to have to be supplemented for us to complete the two facilities that we needed to complete to get closer to state standards for public libraries. And just as everyone else is experiencing this growth, so is the library. As you can see, 165% increase in the use of the facilities. So if we lose any of the funding, we'll have to shut down something. And it's not a threat, it's fact. Just pure, simple fact that, and it'll involve laying off 10 employees.
I guess the thing that concerns me and was brought up on several sides of this, because I agree that we are not funding the services that we provide on a priority basis when you look at different things that we're doing, whether it be roads or fire, things that were mentioned here tonight. And they're funded on a lesser level through no fault of the library board. Y'all saw the need, y'all went after it, and you got what you needed to do. But from a standpoint of view from being up here, it is something that I think we need to look at and evaluate and see what we're funding and how we're funding it, and put that to the knowledge and educate the voters as to how we are spending their funds and let them decide what the priorities need to be. I don't know how to go about doing that with this particular interest, but it is one of those things that kind of lends questions to go up there and say, when you look at what we have for funds for roads and compare that to what we're funding the libraries, and educate the people to find out what they want to do. We do need some type of package, some type of a program in place, not only to resurface the current road systems that we have, but we are, as everyone has alluded to, we are under a situation to where we need to expand roadways to handle more traffic and to move people to their destinations a lot quicker than what we are currently, as well as making them safer for the general operating public. That's what we're dealing with and what we're trying to tangle with. I've had conversations with a couple of gentlemen up here about this, and I think that's my concern with combining them. I don't want to put it all of our eggs in one basket, if you will. But I think we need to come up with something from this level as to how do we respond to some of the comments that we have been getting from the public as to reallocating funds and spending our money wisely, or more wisely than what we're doing today. Obviously, they're spending their money very wisely, or they wouldn't have a fund balance. But does the library services that they provide, which are all well and needed, do they relate to the same level of what our roadways warrant now? One of the problems we have is with infrastructure and getting infrastructure caught up to where we are today as far as the growth that we've experienced over the last 20 years. And that's a tough one. I don't know if there was a way to put this out there to have an either-or choice as the folks to say, do you want it for the library or do you want to put it somewhere else? I don't know how to do that. But I think it's something, good points are being brought up here, and I think there's some way we need to figure out some way to address those points.
I got a quick question.
Yes.
Councilman Clutt?
You feel good? It's going to go forward, right? You don't have a problem with going with the full millage together?
I do not.
You based on your history that
History
we've
of
never
the
turned down a
library?
library tax.
We've never had a library tax fail. Also, too, we've asked the public, because they split it. The only comment that was made to me 10 years ago when they split the millage, which was not what the board asked for, was, well, what if the 2.6 fails? I said, then the public will have told us how much library service they want. Well, it didn't fail. It passed resoundingly. So we know what the public wants from us. All I ask of you all is, as a taxpayer, is to tell me what you're going to spend the tax money on, and then spend it on what you told me.
That's it.
That's all I ever expect as a taxpayer. And I can tell you, now I might be biased because I work for a taxing entity, but I've never voted against a tax in this parish. But you have to tell me what you want and tell us why you want it. But I don't think that it's my responsibility is to tell the public what the library needs and what the library wants. And do you want us to do that? And they have always said yes.
Councilman Joseph.
Ms. Angel,
Yes, sir.
thank you. Thank you for being here and pleading your case, which really, I apologize for us, okay? I really do. Because you came in here for a tax on library, not roads, not recreation. Now, we left the topic. The topic is this agenda item, and I apologize for you on that. And I ask this board if you have anything or plans like this here. We have strategic plans for this here. Put that on the agenda and we would discuss that in committee and then bring it for council. That's what that strategic plan is there for. And so I make the motion to move forward with the item.
I second that. Go forward to the full council with it.
Motion by Councilman Joseph to pass the resolution combining the two millages to be on the ballot as 6.8 millage. Second by Councilman Kluwat. Any further discussion? Councilman Valentine?
Yeah, Ms. Angel, certainly thank you for being here and taking the shots. But you've got to remember, gentlemen, the library board is an autonomous board. You're going to have a discussion like this, you ought to have it talk with the library board, not grandstand up here. talk about roads. I mean, wasn't too long ago we sat here and talked about how a facility we had was losing $1 million, and people voted it down, and we went ahead and bought it anyway. You know, we had 2 councilmen saying, why don't we take that $1 million and put it on roads, and we didn't want to do it then. Why we want to do it on library? These people, she does a great job. The library board does a great job, and we have some own house cleaning to do. Mr. Cluott or Mr. Lambert, whichever one said about the lighting districts, we got one that's pretty bulging right now. We ought to take it on our own, since that's our control, and reduce it. Okay? So let's take some of our own medicine. We're sitting here and throwing Miss Angel. She does a great job. Go to the library board. You want to have that discussion? Take it to the library board. Thank you, Miss Angel.
Thank you.
Just a little clarification, Mr. Chairman. I think in the process of us acquiring Lamar Dixon, it didn't cost the taxpayers 1 penny. We need to enlighten people on that. It didn't cost anybody in our parish not 1 penny. And I've heard a lot of talk tonight on how you handle your funds and this and that. Maybe people need to think back 2 weeks ago when the auditor stood right where you're standing. We had the best audit in 19 years, in the history, 19 years. So we're doing things pretty well with the little bit we have. Thank you.
Well, and I guess as a final comment, I do think it is our place as a finance committee and as a council. We are the ones who put items on the ballot. And even though this has been on the ballot, the point is it's up for renewal. So it's up to us to evaluate everything and look at the big picture. That's what I think people have put us here to do. I think it's only right that we ask the questions, difficult as they may be, but and point these kind of facts out. So I appreciate, Angel, you coming here, and certainly, as has been stated numerous times, you guys have done a great job, and our library system is a great library system. But I think it would be irresponsible if we didn't look at this and we didn't consider some hard choices. So I have a motion on the floor. Do I have any further discussion? Do I have any objection? Motion passes.
Thank you.
All right, we will move on to our last agenda item, approval of contracts with Jones Fusion for Santa Maria Volunteer Fire Department renovations. Mr. Witek?
Email to Board Chairman LeBlanc, who will be addressing you.
Mr. LeBlanc?
Good evening. This is basically a project that's been on the books for about 6 years. It's taken us that long to raise the funds to be able to do this. As you remember, I've come before you in the past. We had to put some projects on hold because of the money situation for fire, and we had to, the 7 district station took a good bit of money, so a lot of other fire departments had to suffer for it, and this is just one of those projects that we're moving forward with now that we got the money in the budget to do it.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Cluott, second by Councilman Pat Bell. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion passes.
Motion adjourned.
Motion adjourned by Councilman Todd Lambert. Second by Councilman Kent Chickson. So adjourned.